In Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon brought back something we haven't seen since Generation 4. New evolutions for older Pokemon that weren't tied to regional variants. Seriously, you're telling me Basculegion can't be permanent? Anyway, after planning / procrastinating for weeks, I decided to make some new evolutions for my Mirahalia region. Little thing like baby size, but if you haven't noticed, we're on our way to 100 subscribers. So leave a like, a comment, it helps the analytics. Hawlucha was the second Pokemon I started working on, but the last Pokemon I ended up finishing. The reason this video had taken me so long is because I was not fully happy with it no matter which direction I took it. Which ironically is why it's first. I like to start from worst to best. Hawlucha for the longest time has been underwhelming in battle. It's got many weaknesses, its stats aren't as good as they could be, so in the initial draft I tried to accentuate, look at me using big words, the wings, orange and green in its design, but it read more like a Mega Evolution. Every Mega Evolution, the Pokemon becomes more, but the proportions never change. That's what separates a regular evolution from a Mega Evolution. So in my second draft, I tried my best to make this Pokemon bulky and bigger without making it too humanoid. At some point I wanted to lean into the whole its wings are fake and just make this a fighting guy in a bird costume, which is essentially what Hawlucha is, but that sounded like a bad idea when I just said it out loud. So in the end, my biggest problem was it just looked too plain. I couldn't get it to look how I wanted. I might need another crack at this guy, but for right now we have Bravador, a bird that has a lot of bravado, and it's still a luchador. I tried to take some inspiration from Decidueye because that's a humanoid bird Pokemon everybody likes, I think, but it ended up just looking like a rooster. It was kind of hilarious, and eventually at some point I just decided, let me go with an idea I had in my head where it had the proportions of Spitter from Ben 10, and the design actually came from that. I decided to also get some inspiration from Birds of Paradise, because that's also a thing Hawlucha is based off of. It's based off of Luchadors, Tekka Eagle Warriors, and I think a Bird of Paradise. I'll pull it up on screen if I can't think of the name right now. Eventually I went back and added some more colors, but yeah, here's the final draft currently.
Bravador, the Muscle Wing Pokemon. Due to more advanced competitions of strength in Mirahali's wilds, Hawlucha trained constantly to hone strength until it evolved. Bravador are very arrogant, disobeying their trainers to battle other Pokemon their own way, regardless of how many badges or accomplishments their trainer has. By moving in a spinning fashion, Bravador can pick up small tornadoes, leaving mass destruction in their wake. They do not care about damage as long as they walk from a battle, looking strong.
Noivern always registered to me as a Pokemon that is good and doesn't need an evolution, but I like to see one, so I made one. It took me a while because the design origins everywhere for Noivern and Noibat just said, bats have sonar. Sonar has sound waves, and sound waves are also used with subwoofers, so it has subwoofers in its ears, and it can use shock waves. And that's that. So I was just like, let's make this guy big, like the fox bats that live in some parts of Africa. These guys are massive. I also took some vampiric elements in the sense of hypnotic abilities. It uses its sound waves to lure in prey, and once you realize what's going on, it's too late. You try to fight this Pokemon off, but it's too powerful. Even its wings are made of sound waves. Dissipate is also a beast type. I'll explain what that means again at some point, but basically it's the dragon type for mammal Pokemon, because I think it's unfair that lizard Pokemon that are cool get the dragon type, but dog, bear, or lion Pokemon just get an element or the normal type. But if this had to be a real game, I would just make this a dragon psychic type. I made a lot of these designs forever ago, and it just was frustrating making all these random designs because I had absolutely nowhere to go. And it's kind of funny because in the end I decided to just go back to the first one I drew, touch it up a little bit, and call it a day. Well, I don't mean it like that as in a bad way. Like, all of these designs could have equally been selected, but the first design I just really resonated with, so that's the one I decided to keep. And now we have the bat that uses decibels to decimate its surroundings while baiting everybody around it.
Decibate, the hypnosis Pokemon. Decibate often lead a legion of Noibat and Noivern. Their vision is very weak, so they reside in large caverns in the daytime, and at night, they emit a call that draws people and Pokemon in. Its sound waves are powerful enough to cause large-scale earthquakes, and loves to be in control. Any challenge to its authority is responded to with steep punishment.
Now, Heathmore is a Pokemon I'm actually surprised has had nothing done to it yet. It's a Pokemon I should like. I have a problem with saying that my favorite color is red, maybe because I'm afraid of being generic, but maybe I'm just weird, who cares? It's the head. I don't like how everything cuts off, and its cool pattern just cuts to its very simple, weird-looking head. That does not match its body. So in this design, I added the steel type to pay homage to its origins in steel working. Yes, Heatmore are originally from the Marihalia region, and their evolutions have been stunted by its time in other regions. Basically, the first steel creation process was made in Africa and was later refined into the Bessemer process we use today. And Wheelodon uses its flames to add armor to increase their strength in battle. I do feel a wee bit weird about the markings. They feel a little bit too unnatural for what I was going for, but this is one of the cooler designs of the video, but it might just need a better name. I don't know why it took me so long to figure out that I could just put this thing on all fours and it'd look cool, but all the designs I did try, they did look cool, but they didn't feel more as beast-like as I wanted it to. Because aardvarks are actually pretty scary animals. They're pretty much blind, so they attack anything that even feels like a threat. They could even fight jaguars. Think about that. You think of aardvarks as these big rodent things, but they are dangerous. And that's kind of what I wanted to capture with this guy. Don't attack me. You might get hurt.
Wheelodon, the Armor Forge Pokemon. Heatmore's relationship with a certain Pokemon has allowed it to gain the power to evolve into Wheelodon. Wheelodon create armor for itself and other Pokemon, using its flames that can reach up to 17,080 degrees Celsius. This Pokemon will often be spotted alone because it has a hard time trusting other creatures. When threatened, it will begin to burn everything around it until its opponent can no longer take the heat and flees.
Design was interesting. I made a poll on my Instagram, follow to participate and get more content more often, and Ninja / Shedinja was picked. Now, I'm going to give you guys a choice of what this should be. Should this be an evolution of both Shedinja and Ninjask, or a Pokemon fusion? Amalgamashing is the gimmick of the Marihalia region, and it will get its own video at some point, but for now, leave it in the comments of what you want to see it as. Picture Ninjask and Shedinja hadn't been fighting separately since evolution, but imagine if they'd fought together. After a while, they'd become so in sync with one another that they'd essentially become the same Pokemon again. This Pokemon was not that hard to design, which is a shock given how much I like it. The main thing I like about this design is I added nothing except the color purple. Everything else is just a modified version of both Pokemon. The idea of making Shedinja's halo into an armor piece came really quickly. The design looked mashed together and unsettling, and that is just what I was going for.
Sakurai, the Shadow Warrior Pokemon. Sakurai have always eluded scientific comprehension. It has the speed and fighting skill of Ninjask, but the hollow aura of Shedinja. Sakurai is incredibly unpredictable, being complacent one second and a shrieking monster the next. This Pokemon is feared even by its own trainers. However, if it senses a cause worth fighting for, Sakurai will stay loyal to the end.
And And that wraps up all the time we have for today. Drink water, hug your parents. Wait, that's casual geographic. I'll find my own outro one day. But for now, I'll see you in the next one. I think that's also casual geographic, but